And welcome to another Book Review Wednesday, and today we are going to be looking into the final book of a series of unfortunate events. This book just being called The End. So this is the end of the series of books that exist within this series. It's the 13th. So it has been a pretty lengthy ride as far as these books are concerned. They have taken up a significant majority of time in revealing what they need to kind of reveal, I think. I think if they were to just continue, I think if the series were to continue on, it would kind of drag. So I think it's good that finally in the 13th installment we have a final kind of sums up conclusion. And does this conclusion ultimately live up to the hype? Well, I think this is kind of up for debate. Because what happens in this book is actually rather interesting, but at the same time, there's still some things that ultimately don't end up being revealed or really focused on, and some people might find that a detrimental thing to their enjoyment of this series. But I think overall it has received, for the most part, roughly positive acclaim from various critics and various readers throughout the world. But basically within this book, we sort of leave off where the 12th book ended. And ultimately what happens is the Baudelaire orphans actually end up on an island where they're introduced to a little girl named Friday. And technically the island's owner, or I guess they call him a facilitator, named Ishmael. And all of the islanders, the people who live on this island together and have this community. So it's sort of similar to one of the previous books where it's a village, except in this case it's a completely different kind of locale, and similar, I think, somewhat circumstantial too, because you'll see how things ultimately end up going awry for the Baudelaires. Initially they're good. The people are very friendly and open and welcoming to them, but things end up happening that sort of result in chaotic situations for the Baudelaires, and we see how Count Olaf ends up playing a role within this book as well, and into the final sort of conclusion of what happens between the Baudelaires and Olaf. And we also see some returning characters, or in particular we see some sort of recurring characters that existed within the previous books that somehow managed to become part of the island as well. And there's also actually a lot of tragedy, and I think this is something that Lemony Snicket, the author of this series, has really emphasized throughout this, at least emphasizes at least in every single book. I almost want to say he kind of overemphasizes the point, but he does make the conclusion to things in a more tragic and less warm and fuzzy light. And usually that's something you don't often see in children's books. So it's interesting that it goes with this approach, and also tries to kind of show how the Baudelaires have come really a long way, and they've, faced various trials and tribulations through life, but they've always overcome them. And I think that's something that's really what Lemony Snicket was trying to nail down with this series. It's the idea of teaching kids how to survive tragedy and survive unfortunate circumstances. So that's really at the heart of this last book. And although there are some things, yes, there's actually a ton of things that aren't really revealed within what, and I don't really want to give away what exactly is and is not revealed, but there are some things that are really open to mystery. And I can understand some people not being satisfied with not knowing maybe certain information. I mean, when I first read it too, I kind of felt a little bit unsatisfied at certain points. But I think regardless, it still does what you expect from a kind of conclusion book. You know, it wraps things up, but it also leaves things open to kind of your interpretation, and you're able to kind of take in all the experiences that ultimately ended up happening. And really, they do reveal very important information within this book. It's not like they completely left things out that really weren't significant to the whole series. It's just minor details and the various characters, because some characters are kind of just put off to the side and we don't really know what happens to them. So I think there's some people that might have a gripe with that, and I can understand that. But that's really all I can really say about this book without really giving too much away. However, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.